Well, I don't have any fallback position. I never did. My family always felt that songwriting was one step below being a drug addict or a hooker. So I never had any fallback position, and so I had to be successful. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when.
You're listening to The Other 50%, a Herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. This is the podcast where I talk to successful women in entertainment and hear their stories. This episode is brought to you by Deborah Owen of the CPA and business management firm Owen and DeSalvo. If you need CPA or business management help, especially in entertainment, call Owen and DeSalvo. For this episode, I got to speak with Molly-Ann Leikin. Molly is a successful and award-winning songwriter whose music you are hearing right now, and also a songwriter consultant whose clients have also won numerous awards. On top of that, she has written some books about songwriting, specifically how to write a hit song and how to be a hit songwriter. You can find her at songmd.com if you'd like to work with her, and I will put a link on my website. You can find us at theother50%.com for added features, photos, show notes, and the merchandise. And you can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbay, and now on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Please subscribe and leave a review wherever it is that you listen. Now, please do me a favor and share the podcast with your networks. Okay, here's Molly. I know you do a lot of things, but why don't you describe what you do?
I do many things. The first thing that I'd like to discuss is my work as a songwriting consultant. I work with developing lyricists, composers, and bands all over the world and help them make sure they have the strongest original songs so when they go shopping for a deal, they have great material. You can have the best voice in the world, you can have the best guitar player in the world, but if you don't have the best songs, and I mean the best, capital B, that can realistically compete with the very, very best material out there, you aren't going to happen.
So what does that look like when you consult with people? Are you talking to them about lyric or melody or what
Or
are you doing?
both. For example, a lot of lyricists contact me. They write the words, but they don't write music, and they often make the mistake of sending their lyrics to some schlock guy with a Tennessee address who is going to use the melody he wrote for 10,000 other songs and have some singer who sings flat and whose voice is shot record, and you get what is really a very expensive coaster with absolutely no shot whatsoever in
Yeah,
the
that sounds
business.
terrible.
So I work with the writers who and hopefully catch them before they make that mistake. And I help them find the music. And sometimes if their lyrics are really outstanding and they grab my gut, then I'll write the melody myself. I also help songwriters and bands and everybody who's creative market their work. I'm very good at this. I have, in the last several years, I have 12 clients who are Grammy winners. I have 14 more who are Grammy nominees. And so far, Julia, with my help, 7,467 other writers and artists have placed their work in movies and TV, on CDs, in video games and commercials, and their tracks are downloaded all over the web. Everything starts with a consultation.
Well, that is great. So you're also a songwriter in your own right.
I am a songwriter in my own right, and people commission me to write original songs either for their CDs, for a TV show, for a movie, for a wedding even.
Now, can we go back a little bit? How did you get into this business in the first place?
As a songwriter, I was a staff writer for Almo Music, which is the publishing arm of A&M Records. And somebody at UCLA asked me to take over her songwriting class. So I did. And all my students wanted private tutoring. So I thought, oh, wow, this is good. This is money in the bank I can save to buy a house someday. So
Yeah, there's a business.
long after my gig at UCLA was over, I'm still consulting with writers. And it's fun because every day I work with talented people, and I never know when I open an MP3 what it's going to sound like. And it's really very gratifying for me to help someone in East Nowhere connect with the mainstream music business, and I'm very good at that.
Oh, that must be so satisfying. There's nothing better than helping someone get a job, and when it's an artist, it's even so much better.
Well, it's fun because artists usually are not very good salespeople. As a whole, artists tend to be very good at being creative, but then when it comes to business, it all goes away. So I become the muscle. I become their hustle muscles.
Right. It's unusual to have both sides of your brain fully engaged and to be really skilled at both. How did you come upon knowing you had both sides?
Well, I don't have any fallback position. I never did. My family always felt that songwriting was one step below being a drug addict or a hooker. So I never had any fallback position, and so I had to be successful. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. So when you go after it like your life depends on it, when it really does, then you tend to be that whole person who is creative as well as a good business person. And I can tell you that whoever's on the charts, no matter what chart, is the person who made one more phone call.
So it's as much determination as it is anything else.
Yeah, determination and having a great product. I help them with a great product first, because all the money in the world without a great product is like setting fire to money, and we don't want to do that.
Oh, right, of course. So how old were you when you figured out you could write songs?
I wrote my first song the day President Kennedy was killed.
Oh my.
And my roommate said, Molly, play that one again. And I said, really? My God. And it was just such an honor to be out there with Bob Dylan and Carole King and my heroes. And I thought they wanted to hear my song again. This is pretty amazing.
Now, what do you mean you were out there with Carole King and
Well,
Bob
meaning
Dylan?
that I could write a song like Carole King could write a song, and like Bob Dylan, and those two were my heroes. Still are, actually.
Yeah, me too. So that must have been an incredibly good feeling. What was the name of that song? Do you remember?
It was called Look for the Rainbow. And it wasn't a very good song, but what the heck, I didn't know how else to express myself at this terrible death. And I found that, wow, I could put my feelings in a song, and then people were singing along with me in the chorus. And I thought, well, it's probably next week or so I'll be at the Grammys. At that point, I don't even think I knew what the Grammys were.
And what did you play at the time, instrument-wise?
Oh, well, that's another whole story. The baritone ukulele. Doesn't everybody?
What?
And I don't really sing. And so when I moved to Hollywood, here I was with my baritone ukulele. My day job was as a social worker for LA County, and I would sign out saying I was going to visit Mrs. Chavez and her 18 children. In fact, I went home, put on my eyelashes, my mini dress, and my boots, and I went to see all the publishers in Hollywood like that. And they thought I was the Gong Show.
Did you take your ukulele and play for them?
Absolutely, I played live. And they sort of sat there and looked at me like, wow, here's another one in off Sunset.
Now, did you book these appointments or did you just show up?
No, I booked, it was very businesslike. I want to see you Wednesday at whatever. Okay, and I try to make my appointments late in the day so I wouldn't have to go back to the office.
Yeah, well, you got to get away with it if you're sneaking out of work.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's really interesting is that instead of my helping my welfare clients get off welfare, they help me get into the music business because they all claimed that Paul McCartney or Elvis was the father of their unborn children. And so I had to go after Elvis and Paul McCartney. And along the way, well, here I am in the office. They might as well listen to one of my baritone ukulele favorites.
Wait,
I will confess, I never got a dime from either one of them. The chances are good that the claim was false, but
but did you really have to do a legit investigation?
I did, yeah. Well, there wasn't DNA then,
Right.
so, oh man, what a mess.
They could just produce a ticket stub and make a claim.
Oh, yeah. And meanwhile, the people at the welfare office were really hoping I would be successful because, as a songwriter, because I was a terrible social worker.
Well, you weren't showing up for work, sounds like. What was your first break?
There was a writers' meeting on Hollywood Boulevard at Warner Brothers Music every Friday afternoon. And they had a big blackboard listing the name of singers who were looking for songs and the kind of song they were looking for. And I used to show up every Friday and I would bring a song that I wrote. They didn't necessarily take it, but I showed up every week. And then all my friends were getting deals with Screen Gems and ATV and Chapel and you name it. And there's me, still a social worker. So I crossed my neck, as my friend from Texas used to tell me to do. And I went up to the publisher at Warner Brothers and said, I've turned down a deal to be a staff writer just so I could work with you. And God must have been listening because the guy from Warner Brothers said, well, then come and sign with me and be a staff writer here.
Seriously?
So that was my first break, and that was just all moxie.
I'll say you talked your way into there.
I did talk my way again as self-preservation because I couldn't bear to see everybody else have a deal and not me. I was as good as they were.
So was that the kind of staff job where you showed up to work every day and wrote songs?
It was the kind of job where they sent me a check every week to do what I would have gladly done for nothing.
Well, that's the best kind of job
I
in the
didn't
world.
have to show up anywhere, and I didn't have a minimum number of songs because I was so prolific anyway. But I would write a new song, I would play it for somebody actually, it was at Almo, not at Warner Brothers, because the guy from Warner Brothers moved to Almo. And if they liked the song, then we went into the studio and recorded it. But they were tough. They didn't record everything I wrote. They didn't like
Now,
everything I wrote.
was this for recording artists or was it for film and TV?
It was for recording artists in those days.
Okay, I'm picturing those scenes in, the Carole King musical Beautiful, where all the
Yeah.
composers. Was it like that?
Yes, it was. And I'm not sure, I don't remember a blackboard, but they had this big blackboard and they had Helen Reddy, Olivia Newton-John, and so on. And they were all looking for material and what they were looking for. And it was up tempo. Was it positive? Was it happy? Was it in the middle? Was it about at the time? The Carpenters were always looking for songs, and Richard would give the instructions that we need an oo rhyme here, we need an e rhyme here, and we need an ing rhyme here. I mean, try to write a song that says anything with those. But he knew her good notes.
Yeah.
And
Oh, how
John
funny.
Bettis used to do that, by the way. He and Richard wrote a lot of songs, and John could write sounds, and he did a very good job. In fact, he's one of my favorite songwriters.
Yeah, that's really specific. So that must have been the funnest job in the world.
Well, it was, and people used to think, well, what do? Sit on a mountaintop? No, you don't sit on a mountaintop. You just, everything, Nora Ephron used to say everything is copy. But everything that ever happened to me, I'm very sensitive, like all artists in Hollywood. And everything that happened to me was an idea for a song.
Oh, that's interesting. Like I have that disease where anybody can say anything and then the song comes out of my mouth.
Well,
It
you
sounds like you
write
have
it
the
down.
opposite.
You got to write it down because you say, oh, I'll remember it. You won't. And then 2 months later, you'll turn on the radio and somebody else will be singing your song. You say, wait a minute, that's mine. Well, you didn't honor it and write it down. The universe got mad, and here you are.
They gave it to someone else. I mean, I sing other people's songs because whatever you said reminds me of some song lyric. So I'm thinking you must have the opposite. You hear someone say something and you're writing a song in your
I
head.
write it down right away, and I can turn anything into a song.
Now, can you describe your process? how you do that?
Well, first I start with the title. So, for example, there's a big hit now by Blake Shelton called "I'll Name the Dogs." So, if I heard somebody say that, I would write that down as the title. And then I would make a list of everything that would be included in a song with that title. And I don't edit the list and nothing has to rhyme. I just do a brainstorming session. In fact, I've created a system that's 7 easy steps to writing hit lyrics. And these are the 7 steps. First is you write down the title. Then you write everything down that you might include. It's like getting all the ingredients for a great cake and laying them all out on the counter. And then you write what the story is once you have all those ideas. And the story, by definition, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it answers the 5 W's: who, where, what, when, why, plus how. If you don't have a story, you don't have anything. You find yourself with a verse and you can't finish the song. So make sure you have enough material to finish the story, and also ask yourself 3 terrible questions. 1, have I heard this before? 2, if so, can I make it a little different? And 3, if not, could I write something else? So you got the story, you got the ingredients. Then I want you to write a paragraph or 2 saying in prose what the song says to you from your heart to the piece of paper. Don't make it rhyme, just write it down. Then write a non-rhyming lyric, and then write one that does. That's the words. As for the music, I actually, once I have the title, I always write the music first, because when you write in English, the meter we speak is iambic pentameter. Da 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 da. Boring, boring. Pretty hard to make that interesting musically. But a melody can be do 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 gong ga da dee 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 do be da dee. Now I could no more play that than I can do brain surgery, but I can sing it into some sort of MP3 thing and then go to my keyboard later and find the notes and the chords. So I write the melody of the chorus first. And I don't just sit down and say, okay, that's it. I got 8 bars. No, it goes on and on and on and on. You might get it in 10 minutes, but it's going to sound like you got it in 10 minutes. So let it sit overnight. Go back to it, go back to it, go back to it. So once you have the chorus melody, then write the verse melody. And make sure the rhythm of the verse and the rhythm of the chorus are drastically different from each other, but in the same rhythm. And then you write the third section, which is the bridge. So you have 3 rhythmic sections, 3 melodic sections. And once you have the melody that clicks in your gut, then write the lyric. But don't write the lyric first, because when you do, you get a pretty boring melody.
Then everything's in 4/4 in the key of C.
Well, that's it. I don't know what the rhythm was of that thing I just riffed for you. Whatever it is, make sure that the rhythm, let's say that's the chorus. So here's the verse. Be-de-doo. Bum bum be-da-da-doo-doo-doo. And then the bridge could be da ha 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 ba da be a d, and then you go back to the chorus. So you've got 3 distinct. The key here is the rhythm. Notes without rhythm are just notes, and they can be pretty dull. So be sure you have that rhythm in there too. And that's really so many songs these days are mostly rhythm.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm learning so much.
Well, let me suggest, and I'll be happy to send you a copy, but I've written 8 books.
Yes, let's talk about that.
One is called How to Write a Hit Song, and it's in the 5th edition. It's available on Amazon.com used, or you can get it directly from halleonard.com new. And if you want to buy it from me at songmd.com, I'll be glad to autograph it. I've written a second book, which is a more advanced book called How to Be a Hit Songwriter. That too is available at all the same places. And I've produced Molly-Ann Leikin's Masterclass in Songwriting, which is approximately 6.5 hours long, and a collection of the masterclasses that I taught at UCLA. So I sell both books and the masterclass as a complete home study hit songwriting course, and it's fantastic.
It sounds fantastic. Is the masterclass a video series?
No, it is an audio series, but I'm in the process of making a video series now.
Yeah, that's so great, and I love how you are paying it forward and creating the next generation of songwriters.
Well, we're on the second generation of new songwriters by now.
Now tell me about
because
the
as songwriters, you have to be 12. If you're 14, it's too old. Forgive a little sarcasm here, Julia. We have to have some, right?
That's a sad statement on our industry. Tell me about the business and the marketing part.
Okay, it's very simple. You're creating a product, even though it comes from your soul and it's 1,000% true. You're still creating a product, and there's a marketplace. Where does your product fit in the marketplace? Before I ever write a song, I'm usually commissioned to write it, so I know where it's going. It's either for a TV show or a movie in a specific scene where there's a specific feeling that needs to be there that's not in the dialogue. So the job of the song is to say what these 2 people or 6 people or whatever are feeling, but what hasn't been said. So you know where it's going. I would not suggest that you write songs for people who sing their own. If they write their own songs, they don't need you. But just like a marketplace, go where they need you. Go where the hole in the marketplace is. And so look for the people who don't write their own songs, or look for the people who co-write with other people, and aim for that marketplace. I would also try to stay away from the temptation. Well, I'm only going to send it to Carrie Underwood. I'm only going to send it to Blake Shelton. Sure, these people are at the top of the charts. They have been for a very long time. Their CDs sell millions, and who wouldn't want to be on one of those albums? Well, that's the whole point. There's no room for you as a new unknown person in that equation at the moment. So pick the guy who's number 40 of the top 40. He's open to stuff. He wants to be number 1, or she wants to be number 1, and they're much more open to hearing your work than someone who's surrounded with 50 people who don't want you to get near him. See what I mean? So go for the guy who's new, who needs you.
How would you even get to that guy?
Okay, so you look on the Billboard charts. They're all available at billboard.com. You pick your genre. Right now, for people who don't sing, I try to steer them into country. Now, country isn't twangy, oh, mama died and so did the dog, and I slept on the railroad track last night. Oh, I'm drunk. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's not country. Country now is very sophisticated. The melodies are fantastic. The words in country songs always are more important than in any other genre. So pick country as an example. Go to the country chart. Look at who's singing what. So say it's Blake Shelton, I'll Name the Dog. So you want to say, gee, I wonder who wrote that. So you look that up too. Who wrote I'll Name the Dogs? You find out it's Blake Shelton. Okay, Blake Shelton sings his own songs, so thank you very much. I'm going to listen to his work, but I'm not going to try to send him anything. But then say you get down to number 12 or 14, you find somebody who doesn't write. And okay, you find out who wrote the song that he's singing now. It lists the publisher and it lists the record label. when you look at the publisher has got to have an address somewhere. It's usually behind several desks of people who are gatekeepers who want to keep you away. But if you're nice and if you're genuine and if you're a mensch, you can get through the gate. So you're on the phone with the assistant to the assistant and you say, I have a hit song here. I wrote it specifically for Julia. I know she's cutting. Or what's her recording schedule? Well, she's cutting next week and we think we have all the songs. Well, before you finish all of them, I want you to hear mine. I wouldn't waste your time. I know you'll never see me again if I send you something that isn't up to scratch, but I'm telling you this is a hit. To whose attention can I send it? How do I mark the envelope so you don't confuse it with unsolicited material? And when should I check back with you? 3 really important questions. So you get an email address and you send an MP3 or 4. Honestly, I don't know the difference between the 3 and the 4, but I guess 4 is the newer version. You attach the lyric in the body of your email. They don't really love, they being the great people on the other side of the desk, they don't really love opening attachments. So put the lyric in the body of the, and include your full legal name, your phone number that you answer, and an email address that's working. Don't send them, well, between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, I'm at my day gig. It's too confusing. One good email address, one good voicemail, and send it. Be sure you send the right version. Don't send them another one. Oh, I sent the one where the cow got killed. I'm sorry, I have to send it again. Don't leave your chaos at home. Send this one great version that's mastered and mixed and everything else with a lyric that's the final version of the lyric. And I hope my song is a good fit for your current project. Not, I hope you like my song, or please, I'm sleeping in my car, or I used to sleep in my car, then my car got towed. Please help me, I'm hungry. Leave that off the table. You're one professional dealing with another professional. The guy on the other side of the desk needs you. You don't know that, but he does. Because if he doesn't have his constant stream of new material, he's out of luck. He's out of business.
So don't lead with desperation.
Yeah. I know one lady back in the day who managed to get the phone number for somebody who was cutting an R&B artist. And she called and said, look, it's my birthday. I don't care whether you call me back or not, but this is a great song. I have 3 jobs. I have 3 kids. Da-da-da-da-da. It would be great if you called me back. And he did. And he actually cut the song. But she had the song. It wasn't that he was giving away space on that CD. So I would keep it professional and stay on it. Even if the CD comes out with your song not on it, stay on it. Congratulate the guy. Hey, what a great CD. I bet you're really proud. I'm so excited for you. And I hope you'll keep me in mind when you're looking for new material for Julia's next album. So you stay in the loop, even though you're dying inside and wish, why couldn't you put me on there?
It's great advice.
You'll have your shot if you stay on it.
Now, can you explain something to me that I've heard of these terms my whole life, and I haven't really been able to put them in the boxes in a way that I understand. I know there's several different revenue streams from when you write a song. Like there's publishing, there's, I don't know what all. Can you explain what all the revenue pieces are?
A CD is round. If you cut it in half, you have 2 semicircles. The top half is the songwriter's money, and the bottom half is the publisher's money. So for every $100 that the song earns, the songwriter gets $50 and the publisher gets $50. When you're a singer-songwriter, you get some of the publisher's money, but that's another whole story. So you get money from mechanical income, which is from sales of CDs. Now you get money from licenses for TV shows and movies. Every time your song is used on, say, a network show, they have to acquire a license and permission to use the song, and you get money for that based on the budget of the show. Every time there's a video game, you might get a fee up front for either creating the song or having them or issuing a license for a period of time. Don't give them a license forever, but 6 months or a year renewable at such and such a rate. Spell that all out first. Then you get money if your song is a hit and used in a commercial. That is really lucrative. And then you get money when you're a performer and you perform at the Santa Barbara Bowl or you perform at Dodger Stadium or wherever the heck you are. The venue pays you for performing, but the songwriter only gets a teeny weeny little bit of that if he is not singing his own song. But nonetheless, it all adds up. These days, in spite of all the theft and the piracy, there is still millions of downloads that are paid for through YouTube and every other site all over the web. Your job as a songwriter is to make sure you're on top of all of that. And it's better for a new writer to have a publisher rather than own the top half of the circle and the bottom half of the circle, because it's a lot of work chasing that money. And the publisher is going to find it all. So there are all those different ways to make money. These days, most of the money is made from licensing when your song is used either in a performance in a movie or in a TV show. Now, the thing that's the advantage of a TV show is these things are shown over and over again, and every time the episode is repeated, you get paid again. Pretty nice.
Really nice.
In Europe, the songwriters are paid, in Germany specifically, when the song is in a movie, you get paid every time the movie is shown in a theater. So everybody's clamoring to have a song that's in a movie in Germany. I don't honestly know all the countries at this point who do that, but it's getting to be more popular. Also, there are countries like China and Russia that never honored a copyright in their lives who are now starting to do so, and I can see 25 cents here and there from China. But the nice part is when you get your royalty statement, and son of a gun, there's $1,500 from some country you can't even pronounce.
Yeah, that's a nice surprise.
That's what we call mailbox money, where you weren't expecting it. And son of a gun, I'm going to Neiman Marcus today.
Who is tracking all of that? Tracking all the downloads, tracking all the sales, tracking all the showings? Is there a body that tracks all of that?
Yes. There are 3 performing rights organizations that track performances for profit. They are ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. That's the third one. And every song has a barcode, so it's like being at the checkout stand at Gelson's. And the thing goes beep, and you buy oranges. It goes beep, you buy Triscuits. It goes beep, and you buy M&Ms even though you're not supposed to. So that's basically how they track performances for profit in licensed venues. Any radio station that plays music has to have a license. Yeah, I'm an ASCAP writer. There are wonderful people at the other 2 organizations, but I'm an ASCAP writer. I've always been an ASCAP writer, and I just know their system and I'm happy with it. Some of the others tend to give most of the money to the people at the very top, and the guy at the bottom gets their best wishes. So when you're at the bottom, you need more than the best wishes because you can't pay rent with that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so performances for profit are logged, and then you get money quarterly based on the number of times your song was played in Oshkosh on a 5,000 watt station and in New York on a 50,000 watt station. And they have some equation to figure out how many times it must have been played in the whole country. Now, the U.S. it represents 51% of the marketplace, so there's the whole rest of the world. And each of the performing rights organizations here has sister companies all over the world. So they send the money to the U.S. and then it's distributed long after you've forgotten that you ever had a song in that movie. So that's kind of fun too. As far as the downloading, the publisher keeps track of that. So again, it's not a good idea. A lot of songwriters walk around, oh, I have my own publishing company. Well, how much money have you made so far from your, well, I haven't made anything yet, but I got 100%. I said, yeah, so you got 100% of nothing, but you could be doing business with a reputable company like Warner Chappell. They know what they're doing and they're going to collect the money. So until you're established and know what you're doing, it's a good idea to have a real publisher. And I don't mean some guy who's sitting there in Tuscaloosa with a post office box who says he's a publisher. Wonderful. Let's find somebody who's in the hub of the music business right now and has in his portfolio 10 of the top 20 songs. That's the guy you want for your publisher.
Yeah. So what cities is this really happening in?
There are music cities: Los Angeles, Nashville, Atlanta, New York, London, and then all over Europe, Tokyo, you name it. They're all over the place. I would, if you're on the West Coast, try to find somebody in LA. If you're on the East Coast, somebody in New York. And if you're in the middle, then I would go to Nashville. But be really careful to make sure these people are actual publishers and not wannabes, or they had a hit in 1920 when somebody's dog barked for 3 minutes and it was recorded. Let's find you somebody who's really in the hub of it right now.
Yeah.
And that brings up another issue, Julia, if I can expand on this.
Please do.
You can't be in the music business from your home computer. You got to get out, and if you sing, you got to perform one night a week someplace, build a following, send an email list every time you're going to perform, and you keep inviting the power players to your gig. Eventually, they're going to get tired of getting these emails and they're going to show up. But you got to be out there. You got to be somewhere where they can see you perform. There are ASCAP meetings twice a year. Very big deal. Everybody in the world attends. There's one in New York. There's one in Nashville. There's one in LA. There's one in Atlanta. Oh, and Miami's also a very big music city. You want to go to those meetings. You want to have a business card that says Molly-Ann Leikin Songwriter or Molly-Ann Leikin Singer-Songwriter, phone number, email address. You hand your card to everybody there and ask for theirs. And the day after the meeting, you call everybody up saying, it's great meeting you. I've followed your career. I'm so excited for you. I got some great material here. Nobody else has heard it. When can I meet with you to go over it? Well, I'm in Tokyo. Well, I'm in Miami. Well, I'm on the moon. That's fine, but when will you be back? And you stay on it, and you stay on it, and you stay on it. And if he still puts you off, you send a Christmas card, you send a birthday card, you send a Halloween card, whatever. You do not let this person go. You've got a face-to-face meeting. You were in the room. He knows you're a player. Stay on it. That's one thing. So these ASCAP meetings and BMI meetings and CSAC meetings, great places. Everybody in the industry is there. The best ticket to buy for yourself is a ticket to the Grammys. And it's hard to get one, but get the one that allows you the gold circle access so that after the Grammys, you're in this special room with the winners. The winners and the nominees are invited to this special party afterwards. So everybody in the room is who you want to be. Again, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. That's fantastic. You take a picture with the guy, with the girl. Hey, do you have a card? I have some ideas of some projects that we can do together. Blah, 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 and then you make up a little resume. Well, I just had a song cut by this one, and I have a song over here, and my song's in this movie, and da-da-da. And the guy's thinking, wow, if I don't sign this guy, he's going to go sign with somebody else and make me look like an idiot. So the Grammy thing is something you have to practice. You can't go there and be shy. You got to do the Molly thing and walk up, hello, I'm Molly-Ann Leikin, rhymes with bacon, da-da-dee. and do the deal. Now, everybody in the world is going to want a picture with that person and a handshake and a business card. So don't be too pushy, but don't forget how to do business graciously and persistently. Then the next day or the day after, you call absolutely everybody. Great seeing you at the Grammys. My goal is to be there with you next year as the winners. Then you're talking their language. Their only bottom line, nobody's interested in art. This is a business. Business with a capital B. If they can make money, you're valuable to them. If they can't make money with you, you're not. So you have to figure out ways to make yourself absolutely essential to the project.
Now, can anybody on the street buy the golden ticket to the Grammys?
Well, as a member of NARAS, National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, you're allowed to buy a ticket, but not everybody who's a member goes. So sometimes there are tickets left over, and I'd hate to think what the scalpers charge for them. But
so it's secondary
whatever
market.
it is, go. Just don't get a seat up in the gods, because you'll never see anybody up there
Yeah.
other than other wannabes like you.
When you are consulting with these artists and about the business, how do you consult with them about kind of keeping their head together when they have the artist brain and they're making art and they're trying to do it in this business that can be so soul crushing? How do you counsel them about keeping it
Well,
together?
I understand that. I ask them to, first of all, I have no idea what they've written before they send it to me, but after I've reviewed their material in an initial consultation, then I know who their persona is, and I can see where their passion is and where their limits are. And if what they send me is in the ballpark, I just keep asking. I give them assignments and ask them to write a song with the color blue, blah blah blah, for Julia. She's cutting next week, and she doesn't have her hit single yet. So I give them assignments with parameters, and if that person is really motivated, she or he will write the song and send it back to me for a follow-up consultation. So we start initially with doing the creative stuff, and once we've got the songs, then I talk about the business stuff. And you know, the anybody will tell you in any business, if you call 3 people every single day, 3 new people, at the end of the week, that's 21 people.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of a month, that's a lot of new people. At the end of a year, that's a lot of new people on top of that. So you're creating a network that way. Don't stay in your comfort zone when you're marketing, because the guy next to you is going to make one more phone call and he's the one who's going to get the gig.
Yeah.
But start it with baby steps. Let's get the songs in shape so they're ready for the marketplace. When they are, let's figure out who's looking. Who's got a project? Who's a music supervisor who's looking for songs for the X movie? How do we get in touch with that supervisor? Where does he go for lunch? Where does he play golf? Where does she go for yoga? And where does she go to drop her kids at childcare? All of those things are really important, because when people see you in a social setting, they're way more comfortable, much more comfortable doing business with you. Then you're not a stranger.
Yeah, it really is all about relationships. How are you seeing kind of the gender balance in the music industry these days? Are women selling as much as men?
They're selling more. Yay!
Woohoo!
When I started out, Julia, there was one girl singer, one token girl singer. Is like being one black singer on every label. Now it's who's got the songs, who's got the hits, who's got the show. There is no gender imbalance in terms of performing and writing, but yes, there's still a gender imbalance in terms of producers.
Great.
Guys still pretty well control the industry. However, they do recognize women as valuable parts of the industry. We're not just cute anymore, and we're not just groupies.
Good. Progress. Now, here's a question I ask everyone. Are you a success?
I am a success, and there's always more I want to do, and even though my walls are crammed with awards, I could get more walls. There's
Yes.
always more that you want to do, and it's horrible to look back and say, I used to do this. I want to say, I am doing this. I am writing songs. My songs are being recorded by this one, and that one, the other one. I'm living on my royalties instead of, I used to do this. I used to do that. That's death for an artist.
Oh, yeah. Are you a badass?
I am. You don't want to be somebody that I'm trying to reach, because I will call you till the wires burn up, till the cell towers fall down.
Okay.
But I'm also, forgive me, but I'm also very gracious and very endearing, and I know how to switch gears. If somebody's in a bad mood, I say, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Is there anything I can do to make it a little better? And that seems to smooth it out. Suddenly, I'm part of the solution rather than being the problem.
Yeah, well, little empathy goes a long way.
It does. And also, it's important for songwriters, for artists in general, to hang around with other artists, because you play the ukulele, this one plays the harmonica, this one plays the cello, and da 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 da. You can play on each other's recordings. You have friends who have drums. You have a friend with Pro Tools, and you have another friend who owns a studio. And when you need something, you just put it out there and you get it. Like all week, it's more than a week, I've been looking for a recording studio to do a vocal in Santa Barbara. And it's amazing how many studios there are here, but I'm not going to go into one that hasn't been recommended. And finally, somebody gave me a name. And finally, that studio guy called me back. But everything is a hassle. Everything is an uphill or a grease pole. And you just keep going. That's your job as an artist.
Is there anything we haven't talked about that you wanted to say?
Yes, lots of people are in the business of saying no. Your job is to find the one person who says yes. Do not allow someone who tells you no to represent the truth and the absolute truth and your future. I'm here to nurture you. I'm here to help you get over the hurdles of families who do not support you, of husbands who do not support your art, of not having enough money to make a quote unquote a good recording. I know all the tricks. I want you to think that I'm a lighthouse in your life, in your creative life, and that I am here when you want my help. SongMD@songmd.com. And I also have an 800 number. Could I give that?
Sure.
It's 800-851-6588. And I work by consultation only.
Great. So I will link to your website and put all that on my website when we put out the interview, and then people can get in touch with you.
That's terrific.
Molly, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad we got all the technical stuff to work.
Yes, me too. You've been listening to The Other 50%, A Herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. I'd like to thank Molly-Ann Leikin, rhymes with bacon, for sharing her story and for sharing her music. Please find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or Podbay, and subscribe and leave a review. And of course, on our website, theother50%.com, all spelled out, for added features, bios, and links to our guests and the merch. And now on YouTube also. You can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Other50% and Instagram at Other50% Podcast. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Excuse me while I have a little sip of Santa Barbara Eau de Tap. Man.